The LABR LABR 15-team Mixed League drafts tonight. As we've done the last 2 years, Fred and I are going to live stream the whole draft. Hopefully you enjoy here on the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. Hey everybody, welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. Jeff Erickson here with Fred Zinkie. As always, our podcast is sponsored by Fantrax. I'm doing a Stratomatic League on Fantrax. I'm doing another league on Fantrax. The Tout Wars Draft and Hold is on Fantrax. Fred is doing that right now. We like Fantrax. That's basically the takeaway from all that. We like you too, and thank you for spending some time with us tonight. As always, chime in the comments when you want to talk about one of the players we've drafted or didn't draft, as the case may be. You can see the draft. If you're live streaming with us, you can see the draft board. We're doing this draft on RT Sports, and we like their site too. Fred, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. Yeah, a little less relaxed and a little more under the gun than I am usually on Tuesday nights. But but I'm pretty excited about this. So this is my first draft of the season, and that's unusual for me not to do some drafts before this one. So I'm pretty. I don't know if that'll be better or worse, but I don't think it's going to hurt me that much. I'm well prepared.
Okay, good. Yeah. I'm glad to hear. I'm drafting third.
Yeah.
You're drafting fourth in this draft. It was KDS this year. It wasn't randomly drawn. The order to choose where we're drafting was randomly drawn, and Tim McLeod naturally still got first. Didn't matter, and he chose first. Dr. Roto got the second choice. He chose second. I had the third choice. I chose third. You had the sixth choice. 5 and 6 were gone after I took the third spot. You decided to nestle right next to me at 4. And we were talking before the show that both of us might have chosen another spot after doing a little bit more prep and deciding, or maybe having done another draft and seeing what the picks are. What would you have done differently?
Well, so when I settled on 4, I don't know. Often I'm just kind of like, when in doubt, just take the earliest pick, because you just never know. Like, I don't know who you're going to pick. I don't know. Right? Who's going to go second to Dr. Roto? Like, so you just don't know. So sometimes I've tried to get cute and be like, oh, I don't want to pick 4 because I think there's a top 3 or something. And then the third, and then one of them falls to 4. And I'm like, I should have gone for 4. So in that regard, like I don't hate picking 4. So, and with it being like a week out, I was like, well, I'll just take the earliest pick and figure it out then. But I will say that, I don't know, when I started getting like into the nitty gritty of who I was going to take, I didn't feel like there was that much discrepancy between who I can take at 4 and who I could have taken at 7. And you and I have talked about how we like being in the middle.
Yes.
So it was more like I wasn't that enamored with picking 4th the more I got into it. And then that means I'm not in the middle, which whatever, like it'll be fine. I'm not on a wheel or something like that. Like it'll be fine. But I don't know. I wouldn't have minded maybe just being in the middle. I said that I took 4th more to be close to the 2-3 turn, and I still think that may work out well for me. I'm not sure, but yeah, I think if I could do it again right now, I probably would have picked 7.
Yeah, I like 7 or 8 or 9. I'll say, if you want to take Spencer Strider, and I think he's the only pitcher that goes relatively early, you might choose to go a little bit more in the middle of the first round and not take one of the first 4 or 5 picks.
Yeah, I just think from 7, like you could take Strider, Freddie Freeman, you could take at 7. Kyle Tucker sometimes falls to 7. I wouldn't have minded just like sifting through those players and, do a deep dive on each of them and pick the one that I want the most. I think those would have been, I guess I would have looked at Tatis, but right. I think I would have probably looked at Freeman and Tucker are like super solid. I know Todd Zola has been like really pumping Tucker this draft season, and I can see it. Yeah, like you said, Strider's his own strategy where he gives you like a totally different draft than everybody else who picks around you. Like everyone else who picks around you is going to start with a hitter. So, but I don't think it's bad. In the end, I just got a little wary of Strider because of the 2 pitch mix. Like I'm just, I don't know. Like I think he could be awesome. I think he could get 300 strikeouts. I just wish he had a 3rd pitch.
Well, it's funny you say that because
he's messing around with one, but
yeah. And I like seeing notes like that this time of year. That yes, there are players that Hunter Green's working on a new pitch too. And that kind of like that kind of says something to me. Like Strider's working on a curveball. He did say he was reluctant to label it as a true curveball, as a modified version of his slider, perhaps. But hey, we saw last year was the year of the sweeper. Was this the year of something else, or is this also the year of the sweeper?
I think it could be another year of the sweeper. It could be a year of like taking the sweeper to another level. I think that could be the story this year. I don't know. There is a chance that Strider gets a useful third pitch. It doesn't even have to be a great third pitch, and then blows the off everybody else, strikes out 300 batters, 290 batters. Maybe the third pitch doesn't actually, the more I think about it, doesn't really boost his strikeouts. Maybe it's not a big strikeout pitch, but it just keeps hitters off balance. It limits scoring against him. I don't know, helps his whip. I don't know. We'll see. Like, helps him the third time through the order. That was the big thing. The more I dove in on Strider, like, really good the first time through the order, pretty good second time through the order, not as good the third time through the order. You wonder how much the two pitches, well, you don't wonder. I think the two pitches maybe hinders them the more batters get to see him.
Yeah. Matt Leahy chimes in and says you're the splitter, by the way. And it might be true. That's the Hunter Green pitch that right now.
I've seen that. I've seen that from other people too, saying this could be the year of the splitter for sure.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, if he had more of a normal pitch mix, I think he's totally in this environment worth a top 5 pick. And if someone wanted to take him there, I wouldn't really argue with them. I looked at it.
Yeah. Stephen Kitchell asks, is there any extra injury worry with having a new breaking ball? I think it's a fair concern.
Yep, for sure. Yep. But there's just so much injury worry with pitchers again, right? Like with any pitcher. I mean, Strider's been really durable so far. He hasn't been that long, but he's been durable so far. But that's part of it. That's part of it with taking a pitcher in the first round. It's also part of it with which doesn't get talked about enough, with taking a pitcher in the first round on February 20th, because you're not only buying the injury risk of 32-ish regular season starts, you're buying the risk of all of his spring training work as well. Like there's a greater chance that Strider gets injured during spring training than a hitter, right? So, right? Like pitchers are or gets a serious injury, right? We just saw Matt McLain's going to be out like a week. It just there's a greater chance that a pitcher could get a small injury that costs them a month, and then they have to ramp up, and then they miss all of April. So we're taking more risk with pitchers tonight because of the fact that the season doesn't start for a while.
Yep, absolutely. I'm older enough to remember drafting Emilio Pagan as my Rays closer, seeing him get traded to the Padres, where he was not the close. Also, that the next day, JT Realmuto hurt his hand in spring training. Now, granted, he ended up being okay, and I think is that the year I won? It might have been the year I still won, but that's all. But question from in Trey We Trust about is labor still BA instead of on base percentage? Yes, it's still batting average. Town Wars, on the other hand, is OBP, and it's been OBP for a while. It's been OBP for like 10 years. Believe it or not. I think some people didn't realize that, or maybe we've added leagues. We do have an extra league in Tout Wars now, which has some alternate category leagues. We have innings pitched instead of wins, and we have saves plus holds instead of saves only in the alternate category league. But so we are trying to experiment in the Tout Wars environment a little bit there. So it's a little different. But it's kind of fun. So we the McLain injury, I'm bothered in 2 reasons. 1, I'm a Reds fan. 2, I'm a McLain honk. 3, so it's more than a couple, it's a few reasons. 3, I took him Sunday in the Scarf League, where I took him at pick 62. But most importantly, I'm worried because this is the same injury that knocked him out for a good chunk of time last year. It's sunk 6 months later, and it's still a problem. I did downgrade McLain's playing time by about 5% in our projections.
Yeah, I think that's fair at this point. So, and 5% at the point where he goes in the draft, like that is going to move him down around, right? Like it's going to move him down half a round to a round. Like docking a guy in round 15, 5% really doesn't move him that much.
Yeah.
But docking a guy who goes around the 4 or 5 turn, 5%, like that matters. Like that puts him down around.
Absolutely. And, it might I might say, okay, well, I have some exposure here. Maybe I don't want to have them there. Although I think that's a problem sometimes, especially if you're on a guy and you're just denying yourself in a league that might have a different amount of heft just because you have some exposure in an early league. So I think it's dangerous to do that sometimes.
My famous Aaron Nola Sandy Alcantara story where I took I had a bunch of Spencer Strider shares, and I was like, oh, I can't have too much Strider last year, so I ditched him for Nola in a league, and then I had Nola, so I was like, well, I got Strider and Nola, I'll draft Sandy in a league, and we all know how that turned out. I should have drafted Strider in all of them. So
yep, exactly.
I think I shouldn't have bothered diversifying.
Right, exactly, but then other times there's injuries, and that can be a problem. We're about to start. I know we haven't started yet. It's supposed to start right at the second. I know the clocks are showing 0, but trust me, it hasn't started yet. So don't worry about that flashing 0 on Tim McLeod's annual 1.1 pick.
I think that Tim should have to forfeit his pick. I think that it's moved on now, and
that doesn't help me because I'm bad.
No, it actually doesn't really help you at all. Yeah.
But it's been a while since we've had like a consensus 1.1, like, and not even close to the amount of distance. I mean, there's been years that Trout's been the obvious 1.1, but it's been by $2 or $3. And by my dollar values, I have him as $13 better than the next best player.
Yeah, it's massive. Like, you can't even consider someone else this year. Like, and I'm doing, you were talking about Tout Wars OBP League. I was looking at like my Tout Wars draft started today, and like it's the same thing. Even in Tout Wars, even if you switch it to OBP, where Juan Soto gains like a massive amount of steam and Judge gains a lot of steam, like it doesn't matter. Like, Acuna is so far ahead. Like, even getting cute, like, you just can't do it. You're just throwing away your chance to win, right?
And no surprise here, Tim did take Acuna number 1. My personal number 2 is Julio Rodriguez. He went number 2. Yeah. Guess what? That means I'm on the clock. Yeah. So my number 3 is your favorite player from last year, Bobby Witt Jr. I'm taking him just now. Yeah. I didn't have him anywhere last year. I don't feel like I'm trying to correct an error, but at the same time, I like him. I'm buying everything he did, and I honestly love getting the shortstop this early.
Yeah, getting shortstop early is good. I took Corbin Carroll 4th. I think I would have taken Witt. Like, I think that was the right pick. I think now that the thing about Witt is, like, you're right. I was down on Witt last year because the previous year he wasn't that good of a player. Like, an actual baseball player wasn't that good of a player. But he's changed that. Now he's actually, when he wasn't that good of a player, he was actually still really good in fantasy. And now that he's actually a good player, then he's even better in fantasy. So absolutely. I don't love that he's on the Royals, but I don't know, people are a little buzzy on the Royals offense. I don't really feel that as much as most people do, but like, the Royals had an abysmal offense last year, and he was awesome.
Right. Exactly. So, and I think they try to improve a little bit more on the pitching side than the hitting side. I still think that lineup 5 through 9 is pretty bad. Maybe 6 through 9 is pretty bad, but still, I like that they tried. Spencer Strider went at 1.5, and I honestly, I have him there too, but I haven't seen it happen that often. So I'm a little surprised.
Yeah, I agree. Derek Van Riper took him. Like I said, going into it, like, on my numbers, he comes out right neck and neck with Carroll, who I took, with Mookie Betts, who just went 6, with Freeman, with Tucker. Like, he's right in with all of them. And so if you want to go in that direction, like, you could do that. And there's plenty of hitting the next couple rounds. Like, Derek will now probably be able to settle in and take hitters with his next couple picks. We'll see what he does. But the pressure.
Does anybody do pocket aces anymore?
I think you could still see it.
Yeah. I don't see it that often, but
no,
you still can do it. That's for sure.
This room used to be really hitter heavy. It's not really anymore. So it used to be really hitter heavy, but I don't think it is. I feel like it's pretty normal now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So there was some concern that Alan Harrison wasn't in the room, but he just chimed in that he was. Now we're concerned about whether Rudy made his pick, but yeah, I think he did. Kyle Tucker and I know Kyle Tucker is a Rudy guy. So Kyle Tucker goes 1.7.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's like a really safe. I think Kyle Tucker's about as safe as a first round pick can get, right? Like, he's right in his prime. The Astros have a really good lineup.
I think if the Clash were analyzing this draft, they'd say with Kyle Tucker, Rudy can't fail. So anyways, there goes super eye roll there by Scott Jensen. He's not even listening. But yeah, and I don't blame him just because of that reason alone. But there you go. Fernando Tatis. I don't think it's that controversial to take him there. I mean, he wasn't worth it last year, but historically he had been before the suspension. I think he could be the 1.2. I don't know about 1.1. He might. I guess there's years where he could be the 1.1 still.
Yeah. I think there are. I think he could get. Yeah, I don't know if he could get back there. Maybe if Acuna took a step back, but yeah, he can be right up there. He could be the 1.2, I guess, in this environment.
Yep. So far, no real curveballs.
Yeah, no real curveballs. Juan Soto goes 10th. Trey Turner 11th. I think Trey Turner is a really nice pick at that point. I love Freddie Freeman this year again. Like, I know he's 34, but man, just hitting second in between Betts and Ohtani is just awesome. So I think he's a really safe pick. He went 9th. And this is where I was talking about how I may have preferred to sit at 7. We'll see what the second round brings to me, but I could have sat at 7 and picked Tucker or Freeman or Tatis. And then just been in the middle for runs the rest of the way.
So I generally still love the middle 8, 7, 9. But I think there's also an advantage. Not only is there an advantage in the first round, I think there's an advantage in the third round in terms of the talent available. I think it kind of evens out after that.
Me too.
So that's one thing I'd say. Question in the chat. Albert Richards asked, do you draft differently in a Roto head-to-head categories league versus a regular Roto league? Good question. And absolutely, yes, I do. Yeah. First of all, you don't have to worry about where I have to have this many stolen bases. I have to have this many saves. I think that's just a massive difference there. You know what your point system says, and maybe you have a league where you're required to have X number of relief pitchers. I hate those, by the way. But they exist. Other times it's really nice that you can say, I don't care who the closer is, and there's something to be said for that. I just want good pitchers, period.
Yeah. I mean, in a head-to-head categories league, it opens up. It's much more appealing to consider punting a position or a stat and just saying, I'm not going to have a lot of speed, or I'm not going to have a lot of saves or something like that. In a Roto league, you can do it. I've done it a bunch of times with saves, but you put a lot of pressure on yourself. In a categories league, in a head-to-head categories league, you can say, I can win my head-to-heads even if I'm consistently losing in one of the spots.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that could definitely work out pretty well. And punting categories work out better. If you have an overall contest, obviously you can't punt. If in Roto, it's harder to punt. Roto, you can Roto head-to-head. You can. I think that's absolutely a strategy.
Yeah.
In fact, it's probably better to do that in that way. Or if it's starters, it's any particular category. Any punting category works pretty well. Our punting strategy works pretty well, especially if you're the only one doing it. I think that's one of the other things. You really have to pay attention, like the rest of the league. If the rest of the league is inclined to not do a punting style there, then it's going to probably not work out as well. But if the rest of the league is, well, then it works out pretty well. We are at the end of the first round. Before we move on and start talking about the second round and start talking about some of these other picks, quick note from our sponsor, Fantrax. Fantrax is the most customizable fantasy platform in the industry, offering the greatest fantasy experience for your dynasty, keeper, redraft, and best ball leagues. Are you coming from another service? Fantrax makes it easy. Fantrax can import any of your current leagues and customize if needed. Fantrax offers the most in-depth player pool in the industry, including minor league players. Do you need a customizable commissioner service for your fantasy league? Fantrax offers more customization than any other platform. Waivers, categories, scoring system, schedule. Fantrax offers custom solutions for all that and more, and it's all free. Sign up for free today and be entered to win an official MLB signed jersey from Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Simply go to fantrax.com/RotoWire and sign up today. That's fantrax.com/RotoWire. Fantrax, the home of fantasy sports. All right. The big thanks to Fantrax for sponsoring us. As always, this draft season, we are 3 picks into the second round. Let's recap what's happened so far. 1.1 Ronald Acuna to Tim McLeod. Dr. Roto took Julio Rodriguez. I took Bobby Witt Jr. third. Fred took Corbin Carroll, 1.4. DVR took Spencer Strider. That's Derek Van Riper. Took Spencer Strider, 1.5. The only pitcher that went in the first round, by the way. Alan Harrison took Mookie Betts at 1.6. Alan is the defending champ of the Tout Wars Draft and Hold League, by the way, that Fred's in. Rudy Gamble took Kyle Tucker at 1.7. Fernando Tatis Jr. went 1.8 to Mike Podhorzer. Ryan Bloomfield took Freddie Freeman at 1.9. Ray Flowers took Juan Soto at 110. Scott Pianowski took Trey Turner at 111. Jose Ramirez 112 to Zach Steinhorn. Aaron Judge 113 to Mike Gianella from Baseball Prospectus. Jenny Butler making her debut in this league. She's from FTN Fantasy. She took Shohei Ohtani. And Jordan Alvarez finished off the first round with Paul Sporer and Sleeper the Bus, and he followed up with Garrett Cole. Anything jump out to you from those set of picks?
No, not really. Like you said, it was pretty chalky. I did notice that at one point, a couple of them one of them still on the board, just to show how good the Braves offense is. Not only did they have the 1-1, but as we were just getting started on the second round, there were 3 Braves at the top of our queue in a row. Riley Olsen and Ozzie Albies were all at the top of the queue, just to show how good that offense is.
Yeah, absolutely. It's crazy. And there's another one that goes in this round often as well. Sometimes he goes in the third round, but there'll be another Braves hitter coming up soon too, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, there goes Albies. So he went. So by the middle of the second round, we've got 4 Braves already off the board.
It's the combination of the talent and the ballpark too. It's crazy.
Yeah. I'm gonna say mostly it's the talent.
Yeah.
The Rockies would like to say it's not the ballpark because they can't get anyone in any of these picks. And so,
the Rockies are dumb though. So
that's true. That's true. So Lindor just went. We were talking. I think that was before we went on the air that you got him in the second last pick of round 2, in your most recent draft. But he went the 6th pick of round 2 tonight.
Yep. Just shows it can. Everybody.
There goes Michael Harris. So there you go.
That was the other one I was referring to.
Yeah, so 5 Braves off the board, and we're just past. We just hit the midpoint of round 2.
So in the draft I did Sunday, I went hitter to start. I went I took Lindor at 229, and I took Marcus Semien at 3-2.
Yeah.
This is not the same draft. This is a much hitter heavier draft. I'm not going to, obviously I'm not going to have Lindor as a choice. And in fact, all the guys left in my queue, I thought I did a full 2 rounds, but it's not quite a full 2 rounds. I only have pitchers left in my queue, which is
really,
okay. I only have 3 players left though. So for what it's worth, I have other hitters I like, but if you want to get certain types of hitters, they're drying up pretty fast. Like I could still take Semien, right? And I might, Fred. If you don't, I'll have 2 bites of the apple after you take it. So after you choose. So, but like if you don't take a power speed guy, they start to dry up a little more quickly. And then you have to start thinking about, okay, where am I going to get speed? Where am I going to get the power later? That's why I don't mind going 3 hitters to start.
There goes Ellie De La Cruz. And then just for fun, Derek Van Riper took Corbin Burns. He has not only gone pocket aces, but he has taken the 2 aces that probably a lot of people would put 1 and 2.
I take Cole. I have Cole over Burns, but I get it.
Yeah, I have them very, very, very close. So, yeah, and Ellie De La Cruz went. So, anyways, I'm going to go ahead and draft Pete Alonso, who is kind of who I wanted as my Corbin Carroll, running mate.
Your counterpart.
Carroll gets me my 50 steals. Alonso gets me my 40 homers.
Right.
I would have taken Burns if Derek had left him. So if you're listening, Derek, boo. Derek. Boo.
And so now I'm all about I've got my compromise choices. There's not one particular player I gotta have here.
Would you have taken Alonso?
I would have taken Alonso. Yes. So that's a little unfortunate.
He's got his warts. We'll see what the batting average is, but yeah.
Yeah.
But he fits on this turn. I got a 50 steal guy. You got a 50 steal guy. Alonso fits with those guys.
I'm going to go innings. I'm going to go pitcher here.
Okay.
And I am going to take I'm going to take Zach Wheeler with this pick.
Yeah. I figured once I took Alonso that I am unlikely to. We'll see if I come out of this term with a pitcher now. I don't know. Maybe we'll see.
Yep. Well, I'll tell you, there were pitchers that a little surprised me. Someone flag planted George Kirby in our scarf draft. I
saw that middle of round 2.
Yep. And he probably wouldn't have come back, or maybe he wouldn't have come back. But I'm going a little different in this draft than I did the other day. We'll see. I think there are options for me for my next pick. I include a couple of hitters, couple of pitchers. We'll see what the draft brings to me.
Yeah. So, anyways, as I was saying, while we're waiting for the turn to go around, I do think that this is where Like I took Alonso. You said you would have taken Alonso. He just fits really well on the turn because there's so many steals in those top few picks. So if you started with Acuna, Rodriguez, Witt, or Carroll, taking someone who gets very little of their fantasy value through steals with your next pick just seems to make sense.
And there goes another George Kirby partisan.
There's a George Kirby, right on the turn.
So that's 2 in a row where I've seen Kirby go before Luis Castillo, and I kind of have him the opposite order for what it's worth. Dagnabbit, Luis Roberts.
That's who I was going to take.
You weren't going to get him. So
that's who you were going to take.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go back with my old comfortable shoe and go with Marcus Semien because one of these years I'm going to be wrong with taking him there, but it hasn't happened yet.
Well, I'm going to go with one of my comfortable shoes. I'm pretty sure. Just 1 sec here. Double check my list.
See, I picked fast so that you'd have to panic here a little bit.
So that I'd have to panic? No, I'm not that panicky.
No. I
probably should take a picture, but I just really don't want to. So I'm going to take one of my comfortable shoes, and that is Jose Altuve. Yeah. I could use a little batting average because Carroll and Alonso, they're like Carroll's fine, Alonso, yeah, but Altuve, I could use a little more batting average.
Yeah,
I know Altuve's getting a little long in the tooth, but he's still really good.
Yeah, unless he falls to the back, to the 7th round, I'm not going to take McLean like I did the other one after tying up second and short. I think that's one thing that's going to be different this year in this draft, I should say.
Yeah.
But
so you were going to take Luis Robert? Is that the deal?
Yeah,
if he was available.
Yeah.
Yeah. So was I. So I actually thought I would. So if Alonso was gone, I might have taken Luis Robert in the second. It would have been him or Wheeler.
Yeah.
And then, but I thought maybe I've looked at Robert's ADP and getting ready for this draft, and it's right around where we pick, 34, 35. So there goes Vlad Guerrero.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Top guy left in the queue right now is Corey Seager. He's returning from surgery, hernia surgery. How far does he have to fall before you consider him?
I'd be pretty close now. I thought about it instead of Altuve. I just what's left on my list. He's second or third left on my list. Maybe, yeah. Since none of them are going to get back to us, I kind of have him and Adolis Garcia tops with what's left on my list. So I could, if he was healthy, if he was healthy, he wouldn't have made it to me anyways. But he could be ready for opening day. It's just with Seager, he's already hurt, and man, I know he's really great last year, but he gets hurt a fair amount throughout his career.
He was a top 20 player despite playing 119 games last year, but he also hit 337. That's not going to continue.
Awesome.
Right?
Yeah. There goes Luis Castillo in the middle around 6 or around 3, I should say. It'd be interesting to see how pitchers go from here. Your Scarf League, I commented to you when we were messaging, got really pitcher heavy starting right about now. But a lot of it was relief pitcher heavy. So I don't see this room going in that direction.
Yeah. The first closer went at 3-1 in that draft.
Yeah.
And closers there were 13 closers in the first 6 rounds. I predict that won't be the case. Keep in mind, there's no overall component. So punting strategies are a lot more viable here. And that's one of the things. Okay. CJ Abrams just went at 3.
That's interesting. Yeah.
That's a guy. I'll be honest. I don't know what he's going to do this year. I don't know if he's going to be worth it, but it's interesting to see him go ahead of Bo Bichette. CJ Abrams, I mean, he's a huge stolen base guy, but I'm noticing Abrams and Bichette over Seager, which is interesting to me. I don't know. I mean, I could be wrong. I don't anticipate taking Abrams at that price, but it's not, Rudy, if there's anything Rudy's really good at, it's running the numbers, and I don't doubt that he feels like he got a good price on that. And, if he goes 20-50, which is certainly within his range of outcomes, Abrams is very much worth it at 3.7. So I just don't know.
It's not like Rudy was desperate for steals. He started his draft with Kyle Tucker and then Kevin Gausman. So he had one hitter and he was a 30 steal guy. It's not like Rudy, you know what I mean? It's not like Rudy had started his draft with Freddie Freeman and Pete Alonso or something. And it was oh, now I need I need a bunch of steals all at once. So he didn't have to go in that direction. So that's a real sign that Rudy thinks that Abrams is going to have a really good season.
Exactly.
Yeah. Corey Seager's still sitting around. Maybe he'll come all the way back. He won't come all the way back. I was gonna say, maybe he'll come all the way around. There he goes. Right away. Yeah. So, and I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Like he's probably a one. If he's ready for opening day, he's probably about a 1 round. Just was acquired at a 1 round discount.
Yep. By the way, hopefully if you're doing the live stream, you can see the board here, and you can see all the picks that are coming in. If you're confused about whether you can see a certain pick or whatever, just let us know, and we'll do our best to try to show that. I'm bound by the width of my laptop, but hopefully you guys can see that all right there. Adelise Garcia just went, and there's no way he's coming back, nice but. Yeah. It's still a nice pick. I think
a really nice pick. Yeah. Scott took him. So Scott's also started 3 hitters. I was just looking at what some of the teams took, how some of the teams have started, because we haven't been actually that pitcher heavy, and that's with Derek taking Strider and Burns. Like I don't have a pitcher. Dr. Roto doesn't have a pitcher.
Correct.
Mike Podhorzer doesn't have a pitcher. Scott doesn't have a pitcher. Ray Flowers doesn't have a pitcher. So there goes Devin Williams. So Zach Steinhorn just.
And this is normal, and if you're in a NFBC mindset, then you come into a standalone league, especially an industry league, you're going to be surprised because you don't need the same threshold necessarily. You're not competing against others, and you're kind of like it's a game of chicken a little bit there. Now you can build a killer pitching staff doing that, taking advantage, and Derek, is off to an amazing start with that too. You just really have to be confident spotting your bargains in the hitters later on. I mean, I think it's just a trade-off. And what do you do better? Who do you spot better? And that might determine like your draft strategy a little bit.
The question for Derek that, maybe he'll do this on a Rates and Barrels upcoming is he took Strider and then he took Burns. If he knew he was going to get Burns fell. Like Burns' ADP since he got traded to Baltimore is about 6 or 7 picks ahead of where Derek got him. So Burns fell. If Derek knew that Burns was going to fall, would he have taken Strider? Or would he have taken Mookie Betts or Kyle Tucker, etc.?
It's a great question.
It's a great question. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if him and Eno discuss that on an upcoming episode. Here comes our first closer run, though. We just had Devin Williams, and then after Freddie Peralta went, Edwin Diaz and Josh Hader. So
I, for one, welcome the closer run.
I'm fine with it. Yeah,
I embrace it because I'm not going to participate in it yet.
Yeah.
I don't think I get something better at a different position. Would you have taken Corbett Burns if he got to you at 100%. Okay. So I didn't have to dream on that. So you're a pick away from getting him.
I was pretty bummed. I was 1 pick away, and because Derek had taken Strider, and I was fine with Pete Alonso because that was kind of Pete Alonso was my hopeful pick at that spot. So now that the picks have played out, I'm actually fine with picking 4th. If I got Carroll and Alonso, I was like, okay, that's what I was hoping for from 4th.
Yeah.
I just didn't know in this group, which can be fairly hitter heavy, if I would get Alonso, but Burns I would have taken Burns. Oh, and here goes Paul Sporer double dipping on the 3-4 turn on closers. Hader goes.
Oh my God, they're playing Derek Van Riper's music.
We've got
the
2
carnage.
Double dippers. So both teams I think Jenny Butler was the other one. Jenny took Edwin Diaz and Yohan Duran. Paul took Josh Hader, Emmanuel Clase. So there we go. I don't know how you want to rank them, but 5 closers are gone. I don't know if I can say the top 5 closers are gone because that depends this year how you order them. I can see another closer, at least one.
Honestly, I think there's like 13 closers I like.
Yeah, who you can make a case this other one's maybe better, but anyways, a bunch of good closers are gone. We can say that.
Yep. So it's interesting. I'm not upset by this, but this concept. But
we're on a serious pitcher run right now. Here goes Aaron Nola. Peralta was in there. Logan Webb just went. Like we've had pitchers for 2, 4, 6, 8 picks in a row.
What was your favorite acting role for Logan Webb? Was it Todd in Breaking Bad, or did you like the guy in Friday Night Lights better, or in Game Night? He looks a lot like that actor.
He does. Yeah. I think Logan Webb was someone you were interested in. If he had, was I right?
Heck yeah! But he wouldn't have fallen to me. He did fall to me in Scar.
His ADP's right around where we are.
Yeah, I got him at pick 59 the other day. So and I just love him because innings. Give me, I like it.
Yeah.
Okay, so Yoshi Yamamoto just went. And that was to Ray Flowers at pick 4.6. Sign me up. I'm on board with him about that range. If I'm taking a pitcher there, very, very comfortable taking him.
Yeah.
All right. That wasn't really controversial at all.
No.
So there you go.
No, I think that was. I'm fine with him there too. I would say I think he was my about third maybe highest left, third highest ranked pitcher I still had left, but it's pretty close.
Yeah.
And yeah, we got a couple pitchers who have fallen a little bit here. Zach Gallen's fallen a bit, but I think I'm finding a lot of Zach Gallen pushback. Actually, I've heard on some podcasts and recently where some people are a little more wary of him. And
so Glasnow just went.
There goes Tyler Glasnow. So Glasnow, he had fallen a bit. He's probably the most. He's not the most. Ellie De La Cruz is the most controversial early round pick this year, and I think Glasnow's second.
Yeah.
Like nobody can agree on Ellie, like what to make of Ellie and where he should go.
Right.
And you hear the people saying, "Come on, you can't use an early pick on a guy who might go to the minors at some point if he doesn't play well." And then. But then there's obviously the potential for 30 homers and 60 steals. That's not going to happen, but something like that. And I'd say Glasnow is the second most controversial early round pick. Like you could literally get 80 innings from him. He's just so injury prone. Or on the Dodgers, although he's coming from the Rays, but on the Dodgers, he could be a really good pitcher who wins a ton of games.
Yeah, that's right.
There goes Zach Gallen. So there goes I needed him to get through a few more picks. I didn't think he would really get to me. He's usually a third round pick. So
right. I had him highlighted too. I highlighted a comment in the forum. Those who are live streaming, Joe McHugh says in the Rates and Barrels Discord, they're running that live apparently. DVR said he even considered Glasnow in the third round. This is before Glasnow went, by the way, when this was posted. So noteworthy that it's there are some people that are all over it. Tariq Skubal, he in the 100-mile-an-hour fastball just went right after Gallen and Glasnow. So kind of a run of pitchers I like. I'm glad I got the one pitcher I got then. I feel like the fourth round run has been more punitive than the run I had on Sunday, but we'll see. I mean, I'm trying to think who was available here that wasn't there, and I don't know if it is anyways. But how many innings do you have Tyler Glasnow at?
I think 140 right now. So I don't know. Like it's so hard to pick a spot for Glasnow. So yeah, like I said, right now I think I have him at 140.
Yeah, boy, my Q's just got eviscerated, as it always tends to do. But especially it's it's the fourth round and my Q got eviscerated. What am I going to do? I'll figure it out.
Yeah, I'm sure there's someone who's decent that you could still get.
Yeah. Yep.
So
Royce Lewis just went. Dag nabbit. Were you going to take him?
Yep. Probably. Oh, am I up? Oh, well, that's annoying.
Yeah. Sorry.
It always sucks when the guy you wanted, gets taken right before you pick.
DVR. Shake that fist against him. Darn you, DVR.
Yeah. So basically, I was going to take Royce Lewis or a pitcher. I think. Whoops, that's definitely not who I wanted. Whoops, I'm really messing up my thing right now. So I wasn't going to take an early closer, but I have Camilo Doval better than what's left at closer. So
okay,
I kind of went off my board and took him. Like after that big closer run, I don't mind getting one of what's left.
Yeah, well, I think he probably stands out among those that are left, and yet I'm going to probably.
I maybe should have still. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I could have still waited and not taken one, but I don't know. I didn't really I like him better than what else was left. So I'll get one closer.
Yeah.
Not super excited about that pick.
Yeah, I'm not super excited here either. I mean, this is the downside to picking where we're picking.
I would have been super excited about Royce Lewis. DVR is really messy. So he stole my Corbin Burns and now he stole my Royce Lewis. So
I'm going to go another old and boring guy in Framber Valdez.
Okay.
And now, so I've got two starters, and here goes another one in Logan Gilbert right after that.
There's a boring. I don't think Logan Gilbert can be boring yet. He's too young, but I was just wrote up. I think it comes out tomorrow. The consistency guys, like the steady, safest guys at each position, and he was my pitcher. Him and Garrett Cole were my pitchers.
Yeah.
Garrett Cole is consistently awesome, and Logan Gilbert has been almost the exact same pitcher for all 3 years of his career, just consistently good.
Yeah.
So
I'm just kind of cruising along. Not really loving this yet. I got to be honest.
I'm okay with it. Yeah, I'd say I'm okay with it.
Yeah. Josh Lowe would have been kind of a target here. He just went at 5.1. Zach Eflin goes. Get your guy.
Josh Lowe is I did not have him ranked near where he went. Oh, there goes Zach Eflin. Yeah, so I like the Zach Eflin pick actually. He was in my queue. He wasn't at the top of it, but he was in my queue.
Why don't you like Josh Lowe there?
I don't know. Maybe I need to give him more credit actually after one breakout season.
Yeah.
Well, you're up. What are you thinking?
Yeah.
Probably a hitter.
I'm thinking a hitter. Oh, all right. I am going to go with a guy that kind of had a bad year. Low-key had a bad year last year. I think he bounces back a little bit. I'm taking Paul Goldschmidt.
Oh, that's really fun. I like that.
Yeah.
So actually, you know what? I don't mind taking Camilo Duvall now because the guy I was going to take was Grayson Rodriguez instead, and I ended up getting them both.
Oh, there you go.
So
there you go. So everything's coming up Zinkie right now.
I could have taken Rodriguez. If I didn't take Duvall, I would have taken Rodriguez and then maybe taken Duvall on the other side of the turn.
Yeah.
So
I'm kind of regretting the Framber pick. I mean, as much as I can, one can, but I had
Framber in a cluster of pitchers with Grayson Rodriguez and Logan Gilbert and Eflin, and I had them all like in a group.
Yeah.
Then Derek is actually nailing this draft, and he took Nico Horner, who was my highest ranked hitter left.
That was my other choice, was Nico Horner, and I decided to get a little more power than speed. That was my choice.
I couldn't even consider Horner when I had. This is the same as you, maybe. Like I felt like as soon as like in my pre-draft prep, once you're going to take Corbin Carroll or Bobby Witt, like a 50 steal guy, like, are you really going to take Nico Horner, like a 40 steal guy, like with limited power? Like, I don't know. I felt like I didn't need, because I'm going to get steals later, like in some ways, I'm sure. I know me, I'm going to get some steals. So that's where
my other issue is I already had a second baseman too. So
yeah,
I would have. Now I did.
That's okay.
I did shortstop, second baseman, middle in the first 5 rounds on Sunday, and it turned out fine.
Yeah,
but I want a little bit more flexibility here.
Right. There
goes Will Smith goes before Real Muto. Interesting.
Yeah, surprising. But I don't think. Excuse me. I don't think crazy. I have them ranked pretty similar.
Not crazy. I mean, that Dodger lineup's going to be hot fire.
Yeah. Yeah, and Real Muto has a lot of his value tied into his steals, and just if someone wanted to argue, I don't really want to draft a catcher who has a lot of value tied into steals. I would listen to that, especially a catcher who's past the midpoint of his career.
Yeah,
that has a lot of his value tied into steals. Like, I would take Real Muto, but like I said, not by much. So
yeah, I think I like a lot of catchers this year. Like I like a lot of closers this year.
Right.
So I can't wait too long on each, but I can wait a little bit. Max Fried just went, and today I just downgraded him a little bit. I didn't like where I had him ranked among pitchers. I didn't like how he finished the season injury wise. Okay. And I don't like he gives you fewer strikeouts than his peers.
Yep. Between the low strikeouts and the injury. Yeah. He was my next pitcher left.
Okay.
But I wasn't super excited to take him. Like, I know, so I kind of went through that group yesterday, figuring that on the 4 or 5 turn, I would take at least one starter. And when I went through it and I looked at him, I was like, I think I'd rather take whatever, like Valdez, Rodriguez, Eflin, like any of those guys. Webb, if he fell, like those guys. I kept him in the group, but he was at the back end of the group. I think he went in an appropriate spot, but I don't know. I don't feel great about him either.
By the way, Alan Harrison took 2 catchers. He took Rushman and Smith together. Okay. It is a 2-catcher league for people that are wondering about that. Yeah. Good point brought up, though, in the forum. No DH bat. David Klum said no DH at bats for Will Smith this year. He's right because of Ohtani. Right. Now, Ohtani, I think, will get rested. I think he's going to get a little bit of that, but we're not guaranteed that Will Smith will get those at bats though either. Could be Miguel Vargas for all we know.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe they let Will Smith catch a little more since is such a good hitter and they can't.
Yeah.
put him at DH. Maybe they give him a few more starts behind the plate. But it is a good point. Oh, there goes Mike Trout. I was waiting. He was at the top of the queue, the default queue. Not my queue, the default queue for a while.
Yeah. He was, and
I didn't
not
really
at the
think
top
about
of my queue either, but yeah,
It's hard to
not
argue taking
far,
Mike
not
Trout.
like outrageously behind either, though.
Really, like pick 70. Like it's hard to argue with Mike Trout at pick 70. That being said, my projections have him lower than any of the other hitters who have been taken so far.
I have him at 85, I want to say.
Okay.
And granted, that's
right. And as I always talk about,
degree of precision.
if you have a guy at 85, you can't take him till 105 because your list isn't going to match. You know what I mean? It match the actual list. So, you're really fully out on Trout this year. So am I. So
I'm not fully out.
If you have him at 85, like I said,
I think there'll be leagues where he slips.
But for you to get to the 85th player on your list, like I said, like we probably are past pick 100 for that to happen. So you have to slip pretty far, or you'd have to kind of compromise where you get to a point where, like you said, this time you end up pick 70. Maybe he gets to pick 80. He's not the highest guy left on your list, but he's one of the higher guys. And you're like, you know what? I'm going to go for it. Right. I'll grab a share of Trout. So yeah, actually,
I did take him in XFL in November, and I might have overpaid now that I think about it, but we'll see. It is OBP in that league. So
it's some interesting guys now at the top of the remaining queue because we have free agents. Cody Bellinger, Blake Snell are both in the top 4. We have your injured player, Matt McLean. And then we also have batting average sink, Kyle Schwarber. So there's a really interesting group in the top 4.
And 2 other injury issues too, with Chaz Chisholm and O'Neill Cruz, not that far behind.
Yeah, they're not that far behind. You're right. So
and there goes Chisholm. So
so we've got a really interesting mix here where, like, there's people out there who just will not take Kyle Schwarber. There's people out there who can't take Kyle Schwarber because they've already taken maybe a low batting average guy or a mediocre. I don't think I could take him with Pete Alonso. Like that's
a good point.
And I have Altuve, but I don't have a bunch of 300 hitters. I just don't think I think there's people who just can't take him. There's people out there who will not take Bellinger or Snell because they're unsigned. And then Matt McLean now with the minor injury. He should go, I think, before it gets back to us still, but we'll see.
Yeah, I reckon he will. Bobby Miller just goes. He's another one of those I'm not sure what he does this year guy.
Yeah.
For me. He was like my 3rd highest pitcher remaining when he got taken. So I have one guy that I'm like 60 points ahead of ADP on, one pitcher.
Okay.
But can I take him? That's the question. Because I already have 2 starters. So we'll see.
Oh, sure.
I could. I must. But probably won't take him in this turn but we'll see.
I have to say, I'm starting to not feel that great about my Camilo Duvall pick now because nobody else has taken any closers since I took him.
No, you're right.
I was kind of thinking there would be another run somewhere. Maybe there will be. Maybe it'll be here in round 6. Like it won't be on the turn right here.
You'll start it. You'll be the guy. You'll be that guy.
I already tried that. It didn't work.
Do it again. 5. Do it twice. Get 3 of them. Come on, Fred. You can do it.
We'll see. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll get another closer. We'll see. If you guys are just going to leave him there, hey, I don't have to spend my fab dollars in this very difficult fab league for people like following.
Why don't you explain that real quick?
Yeah, $100 fab, not $1,000, and everybody costs at least $1. So that's a tricky fab situation, just in the sense that like you can't have $0 bids. You kind of have to save $5 for, in my opinion, you kind of have to save at least like $5 for September just to make sure you don't have a complete 0 in one of your spots. So it's a tricky one. So like if you're going to go and spend, if an Ellie De La Cruz last year when he comes up, if you're going to spend like 50 or 60 on him, like that's a lot when there are no $0 bids, and when a $1 bid is actually 1% of your budget, not like it is in NFBC where it's 1% of 1% of your wait, is that right? No, 10% of 1%. Either way, it's one out of $1,000 that you have. I can't do math and draft at the same time. There goes Blake Snell early in the 3rd. So that takes one of the free agents, big name free agents, off the board. So Bellinger is still sitting there. Yeah, and then so it's just how much faith do you have in Scott Boras that he can actually get
Right.
these guys delivered?
So going back to your fab point, a lot of people like to get their closers locked up in this league because you don't want to spend more than $1 or $2 on speculative saves.
Yep.
Maybe if you know the guy's a closer, you go aggressively, but what if you know it and then he flops?
Yep.
Or you can still trade, but you can't trade fab dollars. That's the thing that makes it very difficult. And you have to find a willing partner. You might have to overpay in the trade market. You can thread that needle. It's worked. I've made it work before. I think you and I kind of made a couple of trades one year,
Yep.
Where I fabbed a closer and traded him, if I recall.
Yeah,
correctly.
something like that. Yeah.
I got Votto, and then I traded Votto away later on, and got timed it pretty well, if I recall correctly. So it can happen, but it's not easy. Last year I did not do that very well, so it can happen. Anyways,
there goes Yuri Perez. There's an interesting, the high upside guys. A lot of these high upside youngsters have now flown off the board. Scooball's gone, right? Grayson Rodriguez gone, Bobby Miller gone, now Perez gone. So a lot of these like really high upside young guys where it's a question of how many innings are you going to get from them.
Well, Ryan Bloomfield makes you happy because he just took Raisel Iglesias, so.
Start the run, Ryan.
Secondary closer run.
Everybody go get your closers.
Yeah. Do you want, yeah, I can't double tap closers like those guys did at the turn. I understand why you do it, and that's great. I just think at 3-4, there's just so many other guys that you're giving up.
Yeah.
That I have a hard time doing that. William Contreras just went. That one.
Was thinking about him.
I am disappointed on. I was definitely thinking about him. So I thought he stood out among all the other catchers. I have him right up there with Real Muto, right behind Rushman. I think I have Contreras as my number 2 catcher. So, but again, there are other catchers I like. So
I had Contreras. He was in my queue. I wasn't really sure the order I was going to put these guys in, but he was in my queue. So
yeah.
How much do you care, Jeff, at this point about ADP, or are you just getting your guys?
In this league, not a whole lot, because I think this is my ADP source is usually NFBC, which is a different universe. I don't trust the default queue on RT Sports because I haven't played in any other leagues there, so I don't know how they draft. I don't know if that includes point leagues. I don't know how it's built. So the default queue to me is not helpful. There goes Cody Bellinger, by the way. And he went one pick before you, so you were on the clock. DVR said Cody Bellinger. If DVR is rooting for him to sign back with the Cubs and not the Giants, that's for sure.
DVR is killing me, is what he's actually really doing.
He's killing all of us. There's a lot of people in that room.
I'm going to take Jesus Luzardo.
Okay.
I feel like if Grayson Rodriguez is your ace, you kind of need a pretty good number 2.
Yeah.
You need another pitcher. I'm trying not to get too
for some reason. Oh, I know why. I got to change that. In fact, I don't have enough wins projected for Luzardo. That's why he gets dinged in my projection based rankings. My top 200 are roundtable rankings. I have them a lot higher. It's interesting how that goes. All right. So I am up. I always say I want to wait till I get to the tier where it's either Paul Sewald or another closer. Well, guess what? I'm at that tier. So Paul Sewald, come on down. He is my closer, number 1.
Here comes this turn's closer run. Go ahead, guys.
Cheer it on. Cheer it on, Fred.
Go get your closers, guys. You got to hurry up before they're all gone.
So I'll just say.
I might take one. I'll be honest. If no one takes one on this turn, I might just take another one.
I might take another. Yeah, you might. You might take 3.
I'm not totally against that.
Go ahead. Try me.
Feeling lucky.
I've got 3 players in my queue, and one of them is a closer. But I was debating Sewald versus Alexis Diaz. Where do you fall between the 2?
I have Alexis Diaz higher, but not by a ton.
I have him pretty close. I think the concern was how Diaz finished the year last year and the ballpark, and the fact that the Reds kind of beefed up their bullpen a little bit behind him. Now, although Emilio Pagan's already behind schedule, so whatever.
Right.
It's not like I think that Pagan is a closer necessarily. It's just that he's just another arm. And David Bell's usage in the past was that Diaz could pitch anywhere, but he couldn't last year because the Reds bullpen was just not deep enough. So Diaz got every single save opportunity. It seemed like there.
Yeah.
Tristan Casas just went. I like him. I think that's a good pick.
Back
to back, Christian Walker and Tristan Casas back to back. So we're getting a couple of first basemen that I like.
Yeah, there's
and
a few.
Kyle Schwarber. Someone finally took him.
There
Easily the top remaining player on my board. I just didn't want to take the batting average.
Yeah,
if you can sustain the batting average crush,
yeah.
Hey, I mean, you're just getting a huge jump in power over everybody else. So I will take a Diaz here. It will either be Yiner or Alexis. I will tell you that much.
Exciting.
Yes, very exciting stuff here. I don't know. Actually, I might not.
I might take the other one.
Yes.
You might take a Diaz, and I may take the other Diaz.
Yeah, you might do that. Tanner Scott just goes. So there is another. So there you go. As far as that goes. No, I'm going to go Yiner Diaz here. I wanted the catcher. There's certain, he gets you some batting average. There is obviously the lack of track record risk. And what if he's terrible defensively? But man, power and average from a catcher, give me. I want that.
Yeah.
So now I'm calling your bluff.
Well, that's annoying because I thought about taking him.
PJ asks, catcher is so deep, why bother right now? First of all, you need 2 of them in this league. I think that just keep that in mind. It's not so deep that you want to get like catchers 15 and 19. I don't think you do. Maybe in an auction league where you can control the price a little bit more, it's a little different. But in this one, I think that it's important to get at least one guy there, a little bit there. Interesting enough, I don't have any outfielders yet on this team. So, and it's not so deep. I want to get some outfielders at some point. Come on, Alexis Diaz, is it up? Are you taking him? You're up. Let's go.
Done.
You did it. We did it there.
Done. Now I have 2 closers. I don't really love this. Well, I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. I've got 2 good closers. We'll see where it goes from here. I certainly paid for them.
And Helsley goes right after that, though. And here's the thing. I mean, you're cutting down the inventory for someone else that kind of guarantees that anybody else that's afraid of missing out on the next tier, whether it's Fairbanks or Phillips or anything like that, they're going to have to seriously think about taking him.
I think these guys in through the middle of the draft here. I think like we've got now the people on the ends have closers. I have 2, but a lot of other people have 1. Some have 2. It's the guys, if you look at the draft board, more in the middle of the draft who don't. So if they want one, there's a few left.
Yeah.
Andres Munoz, Craig Kimbrell, some guys like that. Like you said, Fairbanks.
Yeah. Paul Sporer, by the way, chiming in the chat. I guess he's not streaming right now, so I like that. I like that he's here. Welcome, Paul. Doing the draft and chatting at the same time. Love it.
That's what you can do when you're on the turn.
Yes, exactly. Life is good on the turn. That is one good thing. I mean, and he even said on today's XM show, he likes being on the wheel like that. There goes Evan Phillips, kind of as the Oracle foretold, not Ray Flowers, just an Oracle foretold, not the Oracle. But so there you go. That's another one that goes off there, and I like that. I like that indeed.
Yeah, I think this will be it. Like, I don't think any real name closers are going to come back to us. They did go a little earlier than I thought, and I can't really complain about the closers going earlier than I thought when I was part of the problem.
Yeah, you took 2 of them. You took 2 of them.
Yeah, so I don't know. Going back, we'll see. If I'll wish that I didn't, I might be okay with it.
Fred, Eric Halterman says, Fred, your former podcast partner, by the way. I'm surprised you cut me after going with Eric. But did you plan on going 4 straight pitchers after your triple hitter start?
No, but I didn't want to. I think it's foolish to not factor in how important pitching is. Like, I think you have to. Like, we've learned that from the main event, from like for some of the best players. Like, what just happened here? Fangraphs got their turn skipped, and he said, "Oh crap!" in the chat. I'll let Mike sort that out.
And it's been paused, so we're gonna fix.
Yeah.
That.
Anyways, what I was gonna say is, like, so I've taken now 3 hitters and 4 pitchers, but obviously the 3 hitters I took because they were 1, 2, 3 are, if you're going to go by dollar values, like I've still spent as much on hitting or more than I have on pitching. So, I don't know. Now I may lay off pitching for a while. We'll see. And now I think maybe through the middle rounds, just to try to accumulate a lot of hitters, although there are still a couple pitchers that I kind of like. And I'm not against trying to have just a good pitching staff.
Yeah.
and go from there. Yeah. So there's still, I got my eye on a couple pitchers. If they go, then I may back off pitching for a while.
Yeah. I can see that there.
Yeah.
I've got 4 pitchers already too. No, 3 pitchers. I lied. Wheeler, Framber, Seawald.
Yeah.
I almost did the double closer, but I kind of, to my mind, I don't want to take 2 closers in the first 10 rounds.
Yeah.
But
I get it.
Yeah. And especially because there's not an overall component. I think that's the key thing is you can fab, you can trade.
Yep.
And you don't have to have like for the overall aspect, there's just this league. So if I'm doing better in other categories, that's fine.
Yeah. Like we discussed, I did factor in a little bit that in this league, it is harder to fab for, it is harder to fab for saves. Like you're going to have to, you can't just cycle $1 and $2, relievers every week like you can in NFBC and hope that eventually you hit on one. Like you can, but you're going to end up wasting like 20 or 30% of your budget on them. So, hopefully the guys I take turn out and close all year or close most of the year or something. And then I'm near the top in saves and I don't have to pay for that. This might allow me when some great prospect gets called up to just be the guy who goes all in on him.
Right.
Because I don't have to save back money to pay for saves. So you also don't have to win saves. So I thought about it both ways. Like maybe I'll end up in this league winning saves and that'd be great. And with the 2 picks and it hopefully helps my ratios. We'll see with Diaz, the walk rate and everything. And yeah, I felt pretty good about Alexis Diaz for this year. I know some people have tried to sway me the other way, but I'm kind of holding firm on that.
Indeed.
So, and if you hadn't taken Yainer Diaz, that's what I was going to take.
Okay.
I wouldn't have minded getting like one good catcher who can hit for power and average.
Yeah. By the way, round 9 is the Diaz round because now Yandy Diaz, or round 7, excuse me, Yandy Diaz just went as well. I was eyeballing him for the comeback, but obviously it wasn't anywhere close to coming back.
Diaz,
that's okay.
They're flying off the board.
He's only a first baseman this year, so just keep that in mind. You don't get third base eligibility with Yandy Diaz this year.
That's right. Yeah. I don't have him quite as high as some other people do, but like pretty high, but not quite as high as some other people do.
Spencer Steer has been kind of a controversial guy in draft circles on fantasy Twitter. He just went at pick 101. Scott Pianowski got him.
Yeah, I mean, between crowded roster, and I think there is some discrepancy. Some people feel like he's like for sure a good hitter, and then some people feel like he's maybe a good hitter. So I think they're between the crowded roster and then a little bit of dispute on his skill set. Yeah, he hasn't been super popular, but we've definitely hit a point where the talent that's left in the draft has really flatlined. Doesn't mean it's not good. It's just really flatlined. So it's more like pick your guy, pick your skill set, or pick the guy that you really like.
Yeah, for sure. And we're still not even a third of the way through the draft.
There goes Matt McLean. So I did think before I took Alexis Diaz, that was the other pick I was thinking is maybe I take the discount on Matt McLean.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that might have been smart. Like he could be totally fine. It's spring training. It's early in spring training. He could be totally fine. So that was the one I thought about. And I don't know. I didn't take the discount on Matt McLean, but that one I might regret.
Yeah, exactly. It's possible. I could regret it, especially, although I always have the belief of if it's a player on your favorite team and you don't get him, well, at least he's breaking out for your favorite team.
Yeah, that's true.
But if it's also the guy that you've ranked highly and then you don't get him, it's kind of like you don't get credit for that. When he's there beyond your rank and you still don't take him, and then he goes off, you definitely don't get credit for it.
Yeah.
So, but
that is a good point.
I did run a little scared of that there. So without a doubt, we'll see what happens here going after this here. Paul's on the clock. He just took Nolan Arenado to finish round 7, pick 105. Nolan Arenado, kind of like end of a tier at third base, by the way. I mean, I think there's some other interesting guys, but like for instance, Josh Young, who just got a strained left calf at fielding ground balls. I mean, that pushes him down a little bit. There are others that I like, but definitely one of those guys that you probably have to push down a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I haven't moved him in my rankings yet, but I need to do that. But yeah, I think after Arenado and Young, or now maybe after Arenado, there's definitely a drop off.
Yep, there is. I have others that I like, but I'm going to wait a little now.
Yeah.
And then I just downgraded Caminero because the Rays signed Ahmed Rosario. And it closes off shortstop, and it tightens everything up. Isak Paredes could play third, he could play second. We'll see, but it's just one less spot that we can have that make that work. So I downgraded Caminero because he's probably going to begin the year in the minors. I don't want a guy that's going to begin the year in the minors that in the first 10 rounds. I just can't do it, or even in the first 15.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. I think that I think Rosario actually is a neat fit for them, probably a good fit for them. The fact that he can play in the outfield now, like that he's expanded from like he with Cleveland, he was more of a shortstop, and then the Dodgers used him a bit in the outfield. So I can just picture him on Tampa, just doing a lot, like playing a lot of positions, in and out of the lineup. Plays it most days, but in and out of the lineup, playing a bunch of positions wherever they need him. Can steal a base sometimes, hits the odd home run. I don't know. I think he fits well for Tampa, in my opinion.
He does.
Just another Rays doing Rays things that are smart.
Yeah. Everyone's doubting them this year. I think Scott Jensen and I think we're talking on Sunday night. I think I even made a bet on them on their total. I still think they find a way. But in Rays, we trust.
Find a way to what? Make the playoffs?
Find a way to beat that 83.5 at least. Maybe make the playoffs, but at least be, do better than expected.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm looking at there as far as that goes. What are you looking at coming up here since you're picking right before me?
I've got a couple pitchers left that I like, but I don't know. Eric was already talking about me taking how I took 4 pitchers in a row. Like, am I really willing to take 5 pitchers in a row?
Dare. You can do it.
I don't know. It feels like a lot. It feels kind of aggressive, but anyway, so I thought about that, but I do need to get back to actually taking hitters. I don't know how long I can just pat myself on the back for. I don't know how long I can just pat myself on the back for taking Corbin Carroll, but I might need to get him some other hitters to play with. So
give him some friends.
Yeah. So he can't do it all. So I probably do need to start investing in some other hitters here at some point. I really wanted to get a catcher. I don't love the catchers that are left as far as like this round. I don't like, or this turn. I don't really love them. Like if I just look at what's left just in the queue, like at the top, like, I don't know. Sal Perez actually he's fine. He's kind of interesting. I don't know. I just don't love them. Sean Murphy's playing time's usually kind of capped. If I found out Sean Murphy was going to play way more than he used to, maybe I would be in.
What if I were to tell you there was a player last year that went 28 and 20, 20 and 28, hit for average and all that last year, and still slips out of the top 100? What would you say? 28 homers, 20 stolen bases last year, and he goes at pick 110. Lane Thomas.
Yeah, I was just going to say, what I would tell you is that a lot of people don't think Lane Thomas is very good.
Right.
Is a very good player. Do you agree with them or do you disagree with them?
I don't know. I just don't know. I think he might be okay.
Yeah.
But I haven't landed him yet either. So I'm not quite sure what to make out of that.
He was like not at the top of my list, but he's maybe like 6 or 7 hitters in.
Okay. So the pitcher I had 60 spots ahead of ADP was Tanner Bybee.
Yeah. He was my one. He was my number 1 pitcher left.
But with a bullet for me, like not even close. And I got to say, I'm a little disappointed, but at the same time, I probably need another hitter. I don't know. We'll see. I'm at 4 and 3 right now. I don't know. I would have taken Bybee if it would have gotten to me.
Yeah.
Didn't come close. There goes Munoz. Starting to get to that, I'll take them if they get to me sort of tier.
Yeah. I did consider Munoz against Alexis Diaz. I think Munoz might be a better pitcher. But just the Mariners, like, they've got a lot of good arms in that bullpen. They could use Munoz to get every save, or they could come out at the start of the year and say, you know what I mean? Leverage, blah, blah, blah. We've got a lot of arms. And all of a sudden, Munoz gets 20, 22 saves or something like that. So I felt like Diaz a little more of a closer pedigree.
Yep. I am. Yeah. I
do more than me. Oh, let's see. I think I know who I want. Let's see. Teoscar Hernandez just went. That's a pretty exciting pick now that he's on the Dodgers.
Counting stat wise, yeah.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that Alan Harrison on Fantasy Fix always goes down to the 0 to make his pick, and then he snipes me anyhow? He took Evan Carter. That kind of hit me where it hurts a little bit. Thought he was by far like my highest top rated player still available. So, oh well, so it goes.
Well, let's see who Derek's going to steal on me this time.
I have one player left in my queue. I should probably put more in. Nah, I'll wait. Yeah, Pete Fairbanks goes.
He did not steal my guy then.
He did cure me from He did rescue me from temptation because I really don't need to take another closer here. I just thought Fairbanks was a value. I like the pick. I think it was a good player to take there. DVR is rating well in my draft software, by the way.
Oh, is he?
Is my projections.
I took someone super boring, but I think that's kind of what I need right now. Just I took Ketel Marte.
Yeah.
Just pretty boring, but usually hits for a high average. We get his about to 8 or 10 steals.
Yeah, I can see it.
20 to 30 homers. He's fine. Yeah.
Well, I got your super boring right here, pal. I am going to take Anthony Santander. That is super boring, but he fits what I need. Yeah. Need some power, need some counting stats, need that lineup. Give me. I needed outfielders, period. Could probably use more speed at some point. He's not going to get me that, but won't hurt me in average. Yeah. All around.
Yeah.
Fits what I needed. Old comfortable shoe Dansby Swanson goes next. Another guy that is on the Jeff Erickson favored list. And got one more pick at the end of this round. While we're waiting for the pick, now's a good time as any to share that we are on the Blue Wire Network. Here are their ads. Thanks to those of you who are streaming live with us or those who listen later on the download. We are doing the LABR Mixed League 15-team draft. And we're finishing up the 8th round, and Dylan Cease just finished off that round for Tim McLeod. Dylan Cease is a guy that slipped about 4 rounds, I would say. What you think? I think it feels about right, but what say you?
Just nobody wants to take Dylan Cease, I think, after what happened last season.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody. I think everybody's wary of him.
Yeah.
Like he could be a killer. That's the problem with Dylan Cease. Like he could be good, but he could also just like last year, like he could just totally kill your ratios.
Yeah, that's right.
So I think I was looking at him and I was like, I just don't know if I want to do this Dylan Cease experiment.
Yeah. I hear that. Shane Bieber added velocity this offseason. Does it stick? Are you buying?
I'm not against taking him. Wait, did he just go in our draft?
He did.
Okay, I'm not into taking him right now, but I'm not against taking him.
Yeah.
I didn't have him.
We trust, kind of.
I didn't have him quite this high, and he's done it.
Yeah.
Like he's had injury problems, but this is someone who's been very successful.
Yeah. Yeah, he has. He has indeed. I'm going another hitter here. I'm going to go a little off the beaten path. I think it is, but I don't know if he gets back to me either. And it's a little risky, and that's Anthony Volpe. I was talking about him on the pod on Sunday. I'm filled up my middle there, but that's okay. I wanted the guy that could go 2020, and I think he can do that.
I like it. That's exciting. That's a fun pick.
Yeah. You get a little red in my projected batting average now all of a sudden on the draft software, though. There is a
way off the board. Well, a little bit off the board with my next pick. I'm going to take Bailey Ober.
Oh, Bailey Ober for the Minnesota Twins.
I feel like people are just starting to get the feeling that Bailey Ober is undervalued. I think I heard Zola actually talking about him recently, him being undervalued in early drafts.
Here's the thing about Ober. Here's the thing about Ober is I love him. I like his qualities, but the Twins haven't convinced me that they love him yet. I mean, they chose Dallas Keuchel over him. for about a month-long stretch in August there. That is a choice. I'm not sure it's a good one, but it's a choice.
Yeah, I just look at their rotation and Chris Paddock's in it and Anthony DeSclafani's in it. So and he's in it, Ober's in it. So I just feel like Ober, as long as he's pitching like I think he will, he'll be safe. And he's a strikeout per inning guy. He's not a great necessarily ERA guy because he will give up some home runs, but because of the control skills, he's a really nice whip. At 107 last year, I think 111 career. So, anyways, I think I like him, and his ADP had him making it back to me all the way back to me, but it was tight. Like it had him making it just barely back to me. And I kind of looked at, he was my highest ranked pitcher left by a decent amount. So
fair. I mean, I like him. You know, and maybe he doesn't get back to you. I think there's lots of old and boring out there.
Barely. Yeah. If you're going to play ADP, check him with my next pick was 146. I think his NFBC ADP was like 150. Like,
yep.
Right? Like you can't play ADP chicken on that. Like you either take him or you don't. Like if you want him at that point, just take him.
Yeah, exactly right.
Anyways, I reached on him for sure. But based on the ADP, I reached on him. But you know what, Jeff? I'm not a slave to ADP.
Yeah. Paul Sporer said, "Damn you" to both of us. By the way, both for Volpe and for Ober. So you know,
there you go.
Was
the Volpe
not
pick, I think,
making it back to you.
I think the Volpe pick is like really exciting. That's a really cool, right? Like that's a really cool, fun pick to make.
Yep.
We don't know I don't know if he'll be good or not, but I mean, is he going later than he went? For example, is he going later than he went last year?
Volpe, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so, he was going like
by a good amount.
Yeah, like I want to say he was going around like 60 to 70 once it was clear that he made the team.
Yeah.
The thing, credit to the Yankees, they stuck with him all the way through. I think he's like the perfect like post type sleeper. So players I won't draft for 1,000, by the way. Estuary Ruiz. I understand why people draft him. I'm not, and there's a fit. If Mike Podhorzer had a bunch of power and no stolen bases, Ruiz is a perfect fit. I just don't like the guy.
Yep.
Not Mike, by the way. I'm talking about Estuary Ruiz. And I don't dislike him as a person. Not a bad guy, but bad guy.
At this point in the draft, I think to draft him, you have to be in a certain situation, right? With your roster.
Right.
A very specific situation, right? Where you need that skill set. And,
if I recall right, Mike always likes himself some stolen bases too. So
I agreed. Yes,
I've got him projected for 147 already. You needed about 180 to get the 80th percentile in an NFBC 15 team league last year. 160 just to get the 50th percentile. That was like way above what it was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So you need a bunch of bags.
Yep. Yeah. And Mike's going to probably blow past that.
Yep.
So, and then this has been talked about a lot in fantasy circles over the years, but you're tying, Mike's plan might be just to blow past it and maybe trade them later or something like that. But you're tying up, if you're not going to blow past it, then you're just tying up your steals in one guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that can be risky.
Yeah. I mean, we've never seen Billy Hamilton get benched. We've never seen Delino DeShields Jr. get benched. We've never seen Malik Smith get benched. Oh, wait. We've seen all of those get benched.
Yeah.
I don't like those guys. Do not like them in a boat. Do not like them in a moat. Do not like them at all.
Yeah. Yeah. So you don't want to put now, I guess the one thing, if we were going to say something positive about him, is it's going to take a lot to get benched in Oakland.
For sure. It's also going to take a lot to get counting stats in Oakland.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. But the bar,
even if he hits 280, he may not score 80 runs.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
So that's why but it does, if you're looking strictly for stolen bases, always look for the bad teams.
Yep.
Yeah. Just remember, like, when the Orioles were super bad, they didn't mind rostering a guy that couldn't hit, and they had like the constant green light too, which is a beautiful thing.
Yeah. That's right.
There goes Josh Young. Got a little bit of a discount on that.
Jordan Montgomery going is also interesting. Right. Zach Steinhorn grabbed him, hoping that he'll sign. Cole Reagans just went.
People were calling for that in the chat like 3 rounds ago.
For Cole Reagans?
Yeah, because he's Nick Pollock's guy.
Right. He was my highest pitcher left after I took over.
I would have taken him too. Yeah.
I did think about taking him over Ober. and then trying
Ober.
and then trying
Underdone?
to hope that Ober would make it back to me, but that felt maybe a little too well. Then I was like, I don't think I have room to take both. Like, I do need to actually take some hitting.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I think that was a good pick though. Cole
Paul
Reagan's
Sporer is in a bad place. Paul Sporer is in a
Gray.
bad spot right now because he wanted my Volpe. He wanted your pick in that round of Ober, and he wanted Reagan's.
Yeah.
So
and then he got Sonny Gray, which is like fine, and maybe Sonny Gray will be better.
I would
than
have
all those
taken
guys,
Sonny Gray.
Like so much more boring.
So much more boring, but I love him in St. Louis.
Yeah, he's good. Yeah.
And he got his battery mate, the superb pitch caller himself, Wilson Contreras. So they can work together. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Actually, I really like Sonny. I like that Sonny Gray pick. That was pick 135. I've got him about like 110. Yeah, very happy. I'd be very happy with that.
Yeah. Oh, I think the Sonny Gray pick, is a solid value.
Yeah.
Just a little less exciting than someone like Cole Reagan's.
Yeah. Sometimes boring wins championships, so I could get that too. Yeah. There's definitely a guy I want here. I am absolutely not going to tell you though. But there are guys I like here in this spot. So, 3 actually, but there's one guy I really want, but there's others I do like too. Where do you think? How far does Kyle Bradish slip? By the way,
really far.
Yep.
Like I think another,
because he's like highest on the queue right now.
I think another 5 rounds.
And when I say queue, not my projections, but the draft queue.
Yeah.
This is where you don't want to get auto picked. I'll tell you that much. You start getting it starts getting punitive now.
Yeah. Steve's such a good guy. He'd probably help you out in this, but you're right. In a lot of leagues, you wouldn't have that opportunity, and you'd just be up the creek. So you're right. You don't want to get auto picked
for sure. Yep. There is one closer that nobody wants to take, but he's still sitting there right now.
I see a couple. Well, all right. I guess I see one closer. I see a few closers left. I can name them all if you want. But there's
one that's brand name closer.
There's one that's
trademark closer.
Yes.
We're talking Kenley Jansen.
Yes, I was going to say that was a closer like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
Paul Sporer says he's taken 4 straight Cardinals.
Okay. At least you can just do that on all your teams, Paul, and just have to look at one set of box scores.
Yeah.
It's easy.
There you go.
Just get up in the morning, see how the Cardinals did.
Man, I'd hate myself to do that, but that's also I'm a Reds fan. So.
Yeah, that would be like a Reds fan's worst
nightmare. But on the flip side, I've become one of the best fans in baseball, so there is that.
Right. That's true. They do say they're the best fans in baseball.
So Riley Green just went. I was today years old when I realized that he had Tommy John this past year. He's coming back from Tommy John.
Oh,
Did you know that?
Yeah, I did know that. Yeah.
Yeah. For some reason, that had eluded me.
I haven't totally settled on what I think of Riley Green. Like, I don't have him ranked that high. I haven't fully convinced myself that he's really good for fantasy yet. And I don't really love the lineup, and I don't really love the park. I don't like the park at all. There goes Kenley Jansen.
By the way, and by the way, I actually think I did know at one point in time, but I had forgotten that note. But I went to go downgrade my projection a little bit, and then I looked at my projection I think I kind of accounted for that already.
Yeah. Yeah. So like I said, I don't have Green with where he just went, but a lot of people do, and some really smart fantasy people do have him. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. It's it's I have Riley Green in a score sheet keeper league, and I love that he's a center fielder. So although he might get pushed to the corner by Parker Meadows someday, but yeah, so I'm holding on to him for sure. I like him, but I don't know if I like him in redraft this year because of that, because it's already tougher to hit for power there in Detroit.
Yeah.
And then when you add coming back from Tommy John, usually we saw with Harper, it took him 2 months to start hitting for power.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Riley Green might not go. I might not get him too often in redraft. Carlos Rodon, Hunter Green, Justin Verlander going a little starting pitching run right now.
A little really risky, interesting, exciting starting pitching run, right?
Who do you like the best of those 3?
Rodon. I think I would go Rodon. What about you?
All right. Yeah, not Verlander. I'll say
Right.
that. I'm scared to death of Verlander this year. Just
Right.
absolutely terrified of him.
Yeah.
I think he was super struggled in the playoffs, has the shoulder. I don't know. Zach Geloff just went that, which puts you on the clock. Fred Zinkie, this is your life. You are up.
Let's see.
Are you trying to think about what might stymie me, or are you just going to make your
No.
pick? Okay.
No, I'm just going to pick some guys here. I think I'm just going to get I'm going to take Chas McCormick.
I like Chas McCormick, and I know Uncle Ted in the chat will love that pick too.
Yeah.
Possible 2020 guy.
Yeah.
In fact.
And I only had one outfielder, and outfielders actually don't last forever.
22-19 last year. Like the pick a lot. All right. I am going to go YOLO here in this draft. I last pick I went with Volpe. This time I'm going Marte. Noelvi Marte. Come on down.
Okay.
So I understand the playing time risk here too, but I just love this dude. Love this dude.
Yeah. So you're not buying my theory that he's going to start the season in the minors?
He might. He might, because of the hammy. But
or just because of the crowding.
It's possible.
Yeah,
it's possible.
But he might not.
Yeah. I also don't love too many third basemen out there. There's one other I like, but yeah, we'll see. That might be it's a little risky, but I think it could be nice too.
Let's see.
All right. Logan O'Hoppe just went.
Yeah.
We got one more left of this round. I like how we're going here. Making pretty good time.
We're making decent time.
Yeah.
Like an hour and a quarter to get. We're a little past a third of the way.
Mm-hmm.
No, we're a little past a third of the way.
Anytime I see Miller, I have to look up which Miller it is. It's Bryce Miller that just went.
Yeah, there was Bryce Miller. The first B Miller is going to be Bobby in all your drafts, and then Bryce.
I love how we had 3 Miller pitching prospects last year.
Yeah.
And one in Mason, I have no earthly idea if it's going to work with him being a closer, if they're even going to commit to that.
Yeah.
So we'll see about that. But Jaron Duran just went to start the next round. By the way, the draft software still loves DVR's team.
Okay.
I love DVR's team too.
Yeah.
Just on merit. But even without the endorsement here. All right, I'm on the clock. I only have 3 pitchers. Hey, after going 3 out of 3 early ones, I didn't get any for a while. Reckon I might have to do that right now. I'm going to go super old and boring here. I'm going Merrill Kelly. This is like I'm getting K's with this. Yep. He's very reliable, and I think he is at least. And good team, decent ballpark, lots of Ks, lots of innings. Go pair him with Sewald. They'll just combine and just win games for me. That's how it's going to work. I told him the game plan. You are on.
I'm going to take one of your Reds, TJ Friedl.
Yeah. PJ says he does not like that Noelvi Marte pick, for what it's worth. You sounded you were a little skeptical yourself, and I guess it's the playing time. Is that the concern, or the hamstring? Because I think on pure merit ability, I think he's like off the charts, the best third baseman remaining.
Well, he is. If they're going to play him every day at third base and not play Candelario at third base sometimes. Or, right.
Candelario will play. I saw an interview with David Bell. Yeah. He reiterated
he's to play him.
Candelario is going to play. So I mean, that is my risk factor there. You're right. Maybe it was foolish of me to go this early on him. Could have gone like Jake Berger instead. It's still sitting in my queue. Isaac Paredes is still there, still sitting in my queue. And I'm going to need another corner, so maybe I'll go that route eventually there too. But I don't know. I like being able to get some speed, power, and possibly average all from a third base spot. Usually I don't get that.
Yeah, I think he could turn out really good. There's just that bit of risk attached to him. So what about my TJ Friedl pick, since you're the Reds fan? Safe?
Pretty much. So here's the thing I don't like about Friedl is the StatCast. The hard hit data is terrible with him. Like his home runs far outpaced his hard hit and barrels and all that. So that's something I kind of worry about a little bit. Trade-off is that you're going to get, he's like the only real center fielder on the team. Other guys can stand in center field or like Fraley or Benson, but they're not really center fielders. You're getting top of the lineup if it stays, in a great lineup in a great ballpark. Well, not great lineup, good lineup in a great ballpark.
Yeah.
It's not a good road lineup yet. But it could be. It could be.
Yep.
So Jorge Soler, this is a guy, man, could he have landed in a worse spot? I mean, I know he can hit it out of Yellowstone Park, but I still think that there's a reason why they haven't had a 30 homer hitter since 2004. And it's not just they can't spot talent.
Yeah, Eric and I talked about him last week. Just that the only good thing we could say about it is that, like, in that lineup, he completely fills a need and is going to play all the time.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the only reason it's an okay landing spot for him. It's not a good landing spot, obviously, as far as the park, and the lineup's not great and everything else, but at least it's not crowded at all.
Yeah, that's true.
Luis Arias lasted a long time. He just went halfway through round 11. On value, I had him ranked, I think it's my highest ranked remaining guy. So.
Well, and he would have fit your team so well because you have Alonso. Or anybody that drafted Schwarber. I mean, he's a perfect pairing with that, except he doesn't run. I mean, not enough to, he's a batting average pairing. But my problem with Arias is he's essentially a two category player.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. I didn't really want to, for the same reason I don't want Max Muncy or Kyle Schwarber. I don't really want Arias. Not with the picky. I would be happy to take someone like Arias late. Like, I think a Jeff McNeil is like a super cheap Arias. Hits for average usually. But Jeff McNeil you can get in a late round. And then you're just putting him in your last lineup spots and whatever. But yeah, I don't really love the idea of taking someone with no power and no speed.
Right. And even the runs,
but my numbers say
Miami's lineup is just meh.
Yeah.
You're not getting all the benefit from that.
No, it's true.
I would normally think. I mean, there's no doubting that the hit tool is awesome, and he's going to hit 300. He also stayed healthier last year than he usually does too. I could be wrong on him. I think he's one of those probably players that I probably don't appreciate his skills, but from a fantasy perspective, it doesn't always fit.
Yeah, no, that's a good way to say it.
Yeah.
I also think when I was writing that safest players article, he was in it too, because I said, he is one of the safest players. Like, when you draft him, all you're looking for is an elite batting average and some runs scored, and you're going to get that.
Yeah.
Right. Like when you look at his batted ball profile, like, he's going to hit for a high average. Like, you're going to get what you wanted. It's just, you're not going to get anything else. Like, you're not going to, he's not going to suddenly hit 25 home runs this year or steal 20 bases. That's not going to happen. So he's actually one of the safest picks you can make. You pick him, you're going to get what you asked for. You want an elite batting average, and that's about it. And you're going to get that. So he's super safe. I just don't really want what he offers.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah.
By the way, we're not going to stay on for all 30 rounds of this draft. I think
you did advertise that at the beginning, and I was like, wait a minute, Jeff, are we really going to do that?
No, I think we'll probably stick around to the 2 hour mark. Maybe something around that range.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, there are marathon podcasts out there. I don't want to diminish the work that like Rob DiPietro does. I mean, it's fantastic. He did a 4 hour one that I did listen to every single bit of it because they had great guests and all that. I don't think I want to talk for 4 hours. I talk enough as it is.
It's true, actually. You talk a lot. Like, you are on a lot of talking things. So I can see how sometimes by the time we get to even just get to start our podcast, you've already done a lot of talking.
Yeah. At least now, if we're doing a night podcast, my radio show's on during the day finally. So I got a little spacing out.
Yeah.
But hey, again, I'm not grinding away in the salt mills here. I mean, I'm talking about fantasy sports for a living still.
Yes.
So I want to make sure I'm not complaining. It doesn't sound like I'm complaining about this. I'm just saying I talk a lot. That's all. Chris Sale finally went 11-14.
I was looking at Chris Sale. He was like pretty high in my queue coming back. If he had still been available. Do you know who's interesting, actually, since we just have a bit of time left and I picked before you, is nobody's taken Christian Encarnacion Strand.
I'm aware of that.
He's one of the higher ranked. Yeah, he's one of the higher ranked guys left. I'm not saying I'm going to take him, but I think it's the same thing. I think we all look at him and we're like, hey, this guy could be like a really great pick. Or, I mean, he's actually someone where when you go to the depth charts page at Fangraphs, he's not starting. He's not listed as a starter right now.
And same with MLB Network too. And even Brian Kenny even said something like, if the Candelario, he goes, I get the Candelario signing kind of, but if that means Encarnacion Strand's not playing, that's not right. So other people are aware of that too. So I get it. I would be very angry if Marte and Strand are sitting. I think they got, it's India is the guy that I think is the inflection point, or maybe Steer loses some too. And obviously Ellie is a concern also. McLean's got the oblique all of a sudden. It's never bad to have depth. I will say
that whole as Nando DeFino always says, these things have a way of sorting themselves out.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. So. Erod finally breaks Paul's Cardinal run. He did take another Cardinal. He took Tommy Edman too.
Yeah, he did.
And then he took Eduardo Rodriguez.
I was just looking to see, could he have taken another Cardinal? Is there another Cardinal? I don't have another Cardinal, I guess, near the top of I was looking more at a starting pitcher because he took a starting pitcher. I don't have any other Cardinal starters right near the top of my list.
Oh, come on. You have Lance Lynn just queued up. Don't lie. Friends don't lie.
Pretty far. He's pretty far down the list.
Yeah, I hear you.
Anyways, Encarnacion Strand's interesting just because, if we knew he was going to play 150 games, he'd be long gone by now. But we don't. We don't know if he's going to play 150 or if he's going to play 100, or if he's going to go to the minors.
Yeah,
I don't think that's going to happen, but it could. There's just such a wide range of possibilities with him.
There are. There absolutely are.
Yeah. So sorry to bring him up if you were going to.
Sorry.
Yeah.
There you go. No, it's okay. You can bring him up all you want. It's fine. We're open book.
I'm going to guess that not that many of our fellow drafters are listening right now. And
Paul is. We know that.
Paul's picked, so he's good. Plus, he can't take a red after he's taken all these Cardinals.
Yeah. Yep. He goes, Paul was this close to taking Newt Bar for memes. I love it. I love it there. Eric Halterman says, what are the odds that at least one red is hurt all season? There's never an issue. Yeah.
Pretty good.
Not that bad.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is true the way that the Reds can move around. I was trying to think, mostly they can cover any injury.
Mm-hmm.
They're like a fantasy team with a bunch of multi-position, right? With a bunch of multi-position players.
Yeah, they are. They are. And they already moved Steer to the outfield. They already did that a little bit. So they can do that a little bit there. Yeah. Question by Adam said, how many outfielder are you starting here? Ryan Bloomfield, Jenny, and I all have just one outfielder so far.
Oh, wow.
I'm aware of that. We start 5, just for the record.
I double tapped outfielders on my last turn just because I was starting to feel like maybe I needed some.
If I don't take Encarnacion Strand, it's because of my lack of outfielders. Maybe because I need more pitchers too.
Right.
You need everything. That's just the problem.
True. You know what? This is the point in a draft. This is the point in the draft where you start looking at your team and being like, I got so many holes. Then you have to remind yourself, we still have 18 more rounds.
I know.
I'll fill them. But this is the part of the draft where I start looking and I'm like, man, I needed more outfielders. Wait, I don't have a third baseman. I don't have any catchers. There's just. Yeah.
To your point, Gabriel Moreno just went. I love Gabriel Moreno. I'm like, oh no, I lost Gabriel.
Yeah.
No, I can't take everybody I love, you know. And there are other this is why you play multiple leagues, so you don't lose out on all these guys.
So you can get all these guys.
I really like Gabriel Moreno a lot. I think some power kicks in with him this year. Yeah. I already have drafted him in other leagues. So in the case of Moreno, it bums me out that I didn't get him, but there are others. And we'll move on.
Yeah, it is coming up on me. I think we're both thinking, do we want Encarnacion Strand or not? I have someone else who I really want.
It's among the calculus of my choices there. I'll say that much. I have others that I've been queuing up. And that's just the thing. We're also starting to get to the point where things are becoming less reachy, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. I have an outfielder.
Trevor Story just went. That's an interesting one.
Oh yeah, another. Did you realize how much he ran when he came back?
Yes.
Yeah. Didn't
Yes.
hit.
Yes. So I have a theory. Since
Okay.
now we're almost 2 hours into a podcast, or an hour and a half or something into a podcast. This is where I bring up the really good stuff. I have a theory that sometimes players, when they're not hitting, maybe this isn't that legendary of a theory, but players, when they're slumping hitting, they steal more bases. Marcus Semien did this a couple years ago at the beginning of the year. He was totally underachieving for the Rangers, but he would steal a bunch of bases. Like, he's just trying to find any way to contribute. Yeah. So there's my theory in a nutshell. I just think sometimes players like Story, who can steal bases, when they're not hitting, they steal more bases, or a base. They steal a base, every chance they can, because they're just trying to bring something to the table. And then when the hitting comes back, maybe they slow down a little on the steals because they don't need to do that. But I remember Semien doing that. So it was 2 years ago, right? His first season with the Rangers.
Yeah, he really struggled right out of the gate. Yeah,
struggled right out of the gate, and everyone was on him that this was like it had been a bad signing, and he overachieved for a season in Toronto and all these things, and then he just started. But the only thing he was doing was stealing bases every chance he got, and then scoring some runs because he was hitting leadoff for them.
Yep.
So,
Wyatt Langford just went. I wanted to be able to say Wyatt on my team a lot, but did you ever watch Ozark?
I sure did. It's a great show.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was going for there. Just when you have to explain what you're going for, it's probably not good to do that, but
no, I think you nailed it.
All right, good.
I think you were really good. He was starting to get on my radar. Yeah.
Yeah. So who's DVR going to snipe from you this time?
Well, if he's listening to this podcast, I guess he'll snipe Encarnacion Strand.
Okay. Well, at least I know I'm not getting him.
We'll see who's going to snipe. No, I'm just saying that's the guy we've talked about.
Oh, okay.
We haven't talked about the other guy who I'm thinking of taking.
Yeah. Oh, do we have the dramatic pause because he's doing a radio hit right now too?
Oh, really?
Yeah. So you're just gonna be hovering, waiting there. Just saw in the chat room in the draft room there that they're doing DVRs on the radio right now. So, yes, it's a good time to take stock in what you have. Hey, I still have one outfielder. Who knew? I will be taking some soon. I may not this pick though. We'll see. Feel like I've got a decent base of hitters. So even though I don't have a lot of outfielders, I do have hitters. Now, granted, if Marte does play less than I expected, then I'm going to have to adjust. I will say I will be drafting another middle eligible guy at some point in time just to cover that up. Corner eligible guy, excuse me, to cover that up. Probably even a third base eligible guy. For my corner, and then another corner later on too. So we'll see. Yeah. What if I get both Marte and Encarnacion Strand and they both get sent down? Will hilarity ensue?
Yeah, actually, that's an interesting point. If you take Encarnacion Strand and Marte, knowing Candelario is going to play, like how can that? Well,
I have a voodoo doll. Will I be like?
There's ways, like you said, De La Cruz stinks and he gets sent down, or McLean's hurt or something. But but. The competition, the most obvious competition if Candelario is playing is between Marte and Encarnacion Strand.
Yeah.
So,
well, they already said that Encarnacion Strand is likely to start, is the starter at first base for the most part. So
sorry, where's Candelario play?
Probably third or DH.
DH. So Jonathan India doesn't play.
Well, they're talking about maybe even India playing some outfield too, but he's coming back from he had a setback with his foot this offseason too.
Right.
Yeah. So there you go. For whatever it's that's the thing. Do I really want to invest in both of those guys knowing I'm probably going to get frustrated with Candelario? I mean, but here's the thing. You miss out on skills sometimes when you worry about role.
Right.
How many times have we seen it where, the canonical example is, how is Mike Trout going to play? He's got Vernon Wells and Bobby Abreu and three other outfielders in front of him.
Yeah. He made it work. Somehow made it work.
I think you still sometimes take the skills. And it's scary. It's uncomfortable. But then again, Candelario got paid. That's the difference. He just got paid. So he is going to play. And he's not terrible. I mean, that's the other thing, too. It's not like Candelario is some scrub that's just blocking. I mean, he's a good player. Maybe not great, but he's good.
Derek took Rhys Hoskins.
Okay.
I am not taking Encarnacion Strand. I'm pretty excited actually about that pick. I took Michael King.
Oh, that was my highest pitcher in my queue.
His projected numbers are really good. I know that he may not reach them, and there's a limited sample size on him as a starter. But for me, not having taken like a high-end ace, there's another guy who just like really could exceed expectations.
Yeah, I am going to do something that's going to make the chat room happy. I think I'm going to take a Rays starting pitcher.
Oh, that's fine.
Ryan Pepio, come on down.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
In Rays, we trust.
There are a lot of Rays starting pitchers who will go here in the next few rounds.
I took him in the other draft on Sunday as well. So, yeah, I could still go back to that, but meanwhile, Alec Louder Than a Bohm just went to Dr. Roto.
Yeah, he was actually in my queue as one of my
about
a half a dozen guys in the queue.
Okay, fair. Yeah. And Sporer is angry. You wouldn't like Sporer angry.
You wouldn't like Paul when he's angry.
Yes. No, I needed pitching. I only had 4 pitchers at that point, so I needed another one, and I think he's good.
Yeah.
So Keibert Ruiz just went.
Yeah, he was in my queue. He was in my queue too, actually.
And then Brian Woo
just went. I always get him and Bryce Miller, not mixed up at all, but just like I always lump them in together.
Brian and Bryce. Sure. Why not?
Yeah. Bryce Miller. Wait. Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah.
You're back up.
Bryce. Brian Woo and Bryce.
Brian Woo and Bryce Miller. Yeah. I always just lump them in together.
Yes. All right. I do take both Marte and Strand. I do.
You're going to do it?
I did it.
You did it.
I went and did it. I did it in a minute.
Oh, there you go. If you hadn't done it, if you hadn't taken them, then I would have.
Okay. He wasn't coming back to me, and I knew that. Just yeah. So there you go. The funny thing is, Sporers, he's going to get. He could still get his guy. He could still get Lars Nootbaar. What can I do to get a Lars Nootbaar today? You're up, by the way. I'm sorry. I'm distracting you.
No, it's okay. I'm just needed a minute to get rid of the disappointment of not getting Encarnacion Strand.
Okay.
I really wanted him, but I really wanted Michael King too. So, anyways, I'll get my
first getting catcher. Both. I will tell you, you were not getting both. You were getting one or the other.
I looked at you needed another pitcher probably. So I knew you were probably taking a pitcher, and then Dr. Roto needed a pitcher for sure. He took Woo. So I was like, and I thought there was even a chance that Dr. Roto might even take 2 pitchers. So I thought, I probably, and Michael King was, when I looked in the pitcher queue, like the default pitcher queue, everybody above Michael King is like Bradish, Ryan Presley, who's no longer a closer, like guys who realistically you guys weren't going to take. So anyway, so I took him. So I took Mitch Garver instead. Mitch Garver hits for power.
Qualifies as a catcher this year.
We'll see. And they're talking about DHing him, which actually opens up an opportunity for him to play more than some catchers would. We'll see. Like if he's hitting, he could be their DH.
Yeah, he could. He could very well. I think he expect him to. I hate the ballpark. I don't mind Garver's skills.
Yeah,
I think
I don't like the ballpark either. I get that part. What was I going to say? Now, for you to finish this whole thing off, I think you still need to take Candelario, since we keep talking about him, and maybe India, but at least one more of them. Why not?
Go crazy, folks.
Yeah.
I will need another third base eligible player at some point in my life, but in this league, but it'll be a while. Christopher Morel just went at 13.7.
Yeah.
With Cody Bellinger not signed, Morel is possibly getting more playing time. I've even seen that he might play some third base because they didn't go after Matt Chapman. Matt Chapman still being a free agent out there. Morel is not third base eligible right now. As a third baseman, he's a good DH. He is not a good defensive player. But that doesn't matter as long as he's playing, right? I mean, it does matter. It helps you get playing time. But right now, the Cubs don't appear to be signing Bellinger or Chapman. So that could just be that Morel gets that playing time. And if he gets the playing time, you got power speed in the 13th round. You don't get average, and that's the whole point why he's available now.
Yeah. No, I think he was a really interesting pick at this point in the draft.
Yep.
Yeah. Very like you said, like there goes Max Muncy. Okay, so before I leave Morel, like, yeah, he's Rudy took him. I think he's really smart. I think Morel's going to play, and I think he's going to be a fine pick. But I do think there's breakout potential there that he plays more than we think and ends up being a really great pick. Anyways, Max Muncy just went. He was sitting around my list after you took Encarnacion Strand as my highest ranked guy, but I just didn't have it in me, right? I didn't have it in me to take a batting average. Excuse me. It was the same thing as Schwarber. I didn't have it in me to take that batting average sink. Even though I took Mitch Garver as a catcher, who's not great for average, but it's a little different taking a catcher who's not great for average than taking someone at another position.
Right.
Like your catcher is going to hurt your average. Probably going to hurt your average.
Right.
Robert Stevenson just went. That's like fairly aggressive. Good for Zach. He could totally be their closer.
They've kind of said though, like there was a January update saying that it's going to be Estevez first, but
yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
I usually see, but yet Stevenson goes ahead of Estevez in every single draft.
I think not many people still believe in Estevez.
Well, it's because Stevenson was so good, but he could be the new Octavio Dotel, where everybody thinks he should close, but he doesn't necessarily because the manager doesn't see it that way.
Yeah, exactly. So that may totally happen, but so that's why I feel like the pick by Zach is like maybe a little aggressive, but
it's 13th round though. I mean,
but I get it. Yeah, for sure.
We're beyond like the safe closers. There are no safe closers anymore. It's all speculative closers.
I do see a couple of guys left who I think are the leading candidates have been announced.
I see leading candidates, but I don't see safe.
Okay, I'll just say it since I have two closers. Alex Lang is still there.
Yes.
For example.
Yes.
Who actually is the Tigers closer.
I think so with an asterisk, but
and I don't know what Jose Alvarado is, but Jose Alvarado might be the Phillies closer. Maybe more so than Stevenson right now. But I don't think
I think so. But it's funny. Ryan Roof likes Keckering better, which is interesting to me. I like but the point is the Phillies have not had one set closer for like 3 years running now. Yeah. I mean, it could be, and I think it'll be a share.
Yeah, no, you're probably right. Yeah. So anyways, so I guess maybe it's just Alex Lang. And Alex Lang's not a great pitcher.
No, he's not. Hey, Paul did get Newbar after all. I love it.
Go.
It's the story. He's drafting for this story. I love it.
This is amazing.
Attaboy. And then Christopher Sanchez. Now this is one I kind of missed the boat on in XFL. I had him on my team, and I was just doing a kind of a rebuild of my team. And Doug Dennis, sneaky guy that he is, kind of snuck him in as part of a throw-in in a deal there, and then kept him. I'm like, I probably should have just held on to him. So that was shame on me, but because the K's are there. He's interesting as far as strikeouts go.
For sure. Yeah. Luis Camposano just went in round 14. He had really good second half to last season and has a clear path to playing time. So as far as like catchers, when you get past the really set in stone catchers, he's a pretty good option.
Yeah. I think you're probably right about that. I like him. I worry about the team context dragging him down both ballpark, and if he's batting 8th in that lineup, which is a crappy bottom half of the lineup, he may not get that many RBI or runs.
Yeah,
so that's the one thing I worry about a little bit. But I think Capisano this is the year, basically.
Yeah, for sure. There goes Dalton Varsho.
Yeah. So I think, by the way, programming note for those of you listening, sorry to interrupt, but we'll do our next 2 picks and then we'll sign off after that. Good. So meanwhile, I'm going to post the link to the draft board in the chat for those people. When we sign off, they can continue to follow along. But if they haven't already gotten the link already, but it is right here as far as that one goes. And I've been requested to nudge the board down. Yes, I will do so. Thank you for that nudge. Appreciate you. Jeremy Pena. That's a guy who's fallen this year.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. I feel like the people are maybe already bored with Jeremy Pena.
Yeah.
It happened quickly.
So
but he's still okay.
PJ says that Jose Leclerc looks like the unquestioned closer in Texas. I think because they signed David Robertson.
He just went. Scott just took him. I'm afraid he said that.
Yeah. I think it's questioned. I think
I think the Rangers just said today that they're not ready to name a closer yet. Now I agree he's the favorite.
Yeah,
but
I think the Rangers
just said today that they're not sure.
Right.
Who they're going to name as their closer.
I think Leclerc is the leading candidate. Yeah. Probably the best bet to get the most saves there, but I mean, I don't necessarily trust him to keep the job if he begins the year with it.
Yeah.
There's a team fun pick, by the way, with Nick Lodolo going to Ray Flowers. Plenty of risk, but plenty of upside too.
Yeah. Yeah, it was one of my higher ranked pitchers left.
Good.
I will say there's a player that I'm really hoping for my last pick before we sign off.
Okay, good.
Yeah, if I get
him, a good one, Strap.
In a few picks, I don't know. He's not like my guy this year, the guy I'm about to pick, but I would be pretty happy if I get him. Okay. For some reason, as I said, this was my first draft of the year, so I'm pretty comfortable with my rankings, and I've spent a lot of time on ADP and things like that. What I've really noticed today is there's a lot of second basemen that I like this year.
It's good to know these things.
Usually not a position that I really like. And there were plenty of first basemen. I only have one so far, Alonso, but there were plenty of picks where I could have taken another first baseman. So throughout the draft, there were a fair amount of second baseman, a fair amount of first baseman.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'm surprised that I'm surprised that second base being as comfortable as I was waiting, and yet I still took one early. Last two I've gone and I went and taken Semien. I just love Semien. I think he's just so solid.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm probably going to keep taking him if they give him to me at 33, 35, 32, that range. I'm going to take him a lot still.
Yeah, for sure. The only thing with Semien is that he's played so many games the last few years that what we've come to expect from him is what he produces over 162 games.
Mm-hmm.
So, like just the odds of anyone playing, continuing to do that. You know what I mean? I know it cuts both ways. You can be like, well, he's also the most durable player. He is the most durable player in baseball in the last few years.
Yep.
But we've seen this with other guys before. They're durable until they're not. Remember Hunter Pence? He played.
Liss made that point all the time on the radio.
Yeah.
He hated the accumulators.
Yeah.
Nick Markakis was an accumulator until he wasn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but I think it's okay. I think you just when I projected Semien for this year, I projected him more for 150 games. He's a super durable player. I feel really safe drafting him, but I didn't project what I thought he could do over 162 games just because I think it's foolish to expect 162 games out of anybody.
For sure.
Or 160, for example, anything like that. So one more pick, DVR. Are you going to steal my pick the last time before we
Alan Harrison just hit me where it hurts. I like Gavin Williams a lot.
Yeah, Gavin Williams he wasn't going to be my pick, but he was up there for me.
Yeah. I wasn't going to be my pick either, at least the first pick, but Tyler Stevenson just went. We're on a Stevenson run.
Not my guy. So
all right.
I will take the guy who I was kind of excited to take.
Guy behind the guy, maybe, but
James Outman.
Oh,
I'm kind of excited with him at this point in the draft.
No, he's dude.
As far as I feel like my team's pretty balanced actually so far, and he's just kind of like a 20-20-ish guy, maybe a little more than 20 homers, a little less than 20 steals, but
let's hope he doesn't live up to his name for your sake.
Couldn't resist the pun.
Yeah, well, it was
but anyways, I don't think he's some earth-shattering pick or anything, but I loved how the Dodgers stuck with him last year. There you go. You took Alex Lang. I talked you into it.
He was the top of my queue the whole time. I just didn't say anything.
Just playing coy.
Big brain here.
Yeah.
Not that you were going to take him, but the stealth listeners. We know Spore is listening, but is anybody else listening? So we'll see about that. No Jackson Holiday yet. Nobody has taken him. That was asked in the forum there. Nope, he has not been taken yet. So Jackson Holiday remains out there, hovering like an angel. I won't be taking him.
That's an interesting one.
He's very interesting. I just have three middles already, so I'm not going to be taking him right at this point in time. But do you think Jackson Holiday makes the team out of spring training?
No. You?
I think he might. I think if he tears it up, the fact that they're having him take reps at second base,
I
think he might. Jose
I'm not
Alvarado goes, so that's a little challenge. Lang versus Alvarado,
Yeah.
as far as that goes.
Yeah.
Now it's various Padres and Royals and Marlins hanging. No, not
I
Marlins.
want to see where I have Holiday on my remaining list, but not in a spot where I would take him, really. I never get those guys, though. I'm so boring. I never end up with those guys.
I got a couple of fun guys already.
Yeah.
So I'm probably going to go less fun. I'm going to go, although I think this guy's kind of fun. He was considered fun last year and then was kind of like, but I'm going to go Yoshida here. I need outfielders, and he does a little something to everything, including hitting for average.
I think that's a good one. Yeah, he was one of my higher ranked guys left.
And this is the last pick before we sign off.
Yeah, I don't really have a good feel for this one, actually.
Okay.
Let's see. This pick is might be really boring. Actually, I don't like that guy. That's kind of crowded. That infield. How much time do I have left? 26 seconds. Not that I'm stressing or anything.
Yeah. Yes, Paul.
Right.
I'll
take Andrew Vaughn. I'm not really that excited about that pick, but
yeah,
finished it with a dud.
Yeah. The crowd is not going to go wild for that, but
yeah,
he's
okay.
He's
fine.
Playing.
That's it. He's playing. Like, their team sucks. He's playing every day. He's probably going to hit in a fairly good spot in the lineup. He's not that old. Like, he still could take another step forward. He was supposed to be better than this, right?
Yeah.
Like, Andrew Vaughn was supposed to be really good. He's 20, turning 26 right around opening day. He's been like a 750 OPS guy the last couple of years. Like you said, it's cromulent. He's gonna, if he doesn't do anything different, he probably does what he did last year, about 20 homers and 80 RBIs, hitting in the middle of a boring lineup.
Yeah, exactly.
And maybe at 26, maybe he figures it out. And because, like I said, it's always stuck in my head that he was supposed to be much better than this.
I think they're just going to leave him alone at first base now too.
Yeah.
No more of this stupid experiment with him in the outfield because we have somebody else there and all that sort of things. The worst thing you can do is move a prospect around constantly. Have him play out of position. Yet it happens all the time. Yeah. Nick Senzel's nodding his head furiously in agreement right now. But it happens all the time. All right. We have done 2 hours of this. We appreciate all the chatter. We've had so much good chatter in the chat room here. For everybody that's been live streaming with us. If you're listening after the fact, we appreciate you doing that too, especially a 2-hour podcast of a live draft. Again, you can check out the board. I'll post it one more time in the chat room at RT Sports, rtsports.com/LABR-Mixed-Draft. And follow along with the rest of this draft or check out the draft board after the fact. Thanks everybody for listening. Thanks to Fantrax for their sponsorship. Thank you for to all the good chatter. And Fred, thanks for sharing your thoughts while we were doing this. This was fun.
Yeah, really fun. Maybe we can recap it a little bit at the start next week.
Absolutely. And I got Jenny Butler on Thursday to recap her side of this draft as well, drafting out of the 14 spot. So looking forward to that. Thanks everybody for Yeah, it's going to be super fun. Thanks everybody for listening. Take care.